Good morning, seminar kiddos. I just wanted to explain this week's work to you in case you're unable to join class. So here is the lesson 2 and 3. They're going to take both days that we meet live this week. As always, I will have open office hours on Thursday and Friday if you need help with anything like your college applications. So here's what you need to do for this. Number 1, you're going to write your definition of risk and protective factors after looking at the definitions provided. So provided are here. So let's look at these definitions together. So definition of a protective factor. It's a characteristic at the biological, psychological, family, or community, which includes peers and culture level, that is associated with a lower likelihood of problem outcomes or that reduces the negative impact of a risk factor on problem outcomes. So when you think about protecting someone, right, you're shielding them from that negativity or from that bad thing happening. It's the same thing with a protective factor. It's something that is going to save you from any problems or negativity. When we talk about a risk factor, that's just what you think it sounds like. It's a characteristic at the biological, psychological, family, community, or cultural level that precedes and is associated with a higher likelihood of problem outcomes. So you're more at risk when you have these factors. And then definition of resilience is when protective experiences and coping skills on one side counterbalance significant adversity on the other. Resilience is evident when a child's health and development tips toward positive outcomes, even when a heavy load of factors is stacked on the negative outcome side. Resilience, I'm sure you've heard this word before. It's how well you can bounce back when you're faced with negativity or negative things in your life, right? So it's more evident that you're more on the positive outcome if you don't have as many risk factors and you have more protective factors. But just because you have risk factors doesn't mean that you can't be resilient and bounce back. So what now that we've reviewed that, your second thing is to go back and please write your definition of risk and protective factors here in the Google Doc. After that, you're going to click on this link right here and read the Harvard Center on the Developing Child Resilience. I'll show you what it looks like so you get to the right website. So here it is, and you're going to read this article. Okay. After you've read the article, you're going to hop back onto your Google Doc and write your definition, your own definition of resilience. We just reviewed what the actual definition is, but what does it mean to you? And then you're going to identify some of the protective factors that were in the article and some risk factors that were listed in the article. When you're done with that, on page 2, you're going to create your own challenging life scenario that includes at least 2 protective factors and 2 risk factors. This can be real or this can be fictional. As long as you're making up a life scenario that includes 2 of each, you're great. Last but not least, and you'll probably get to this tomorrow, you're going to complete page 3 with a reflection. Let's look at the Google Doc so you know what's on page 3. So on page 1 are your definitions that we talked about. Here is where you're going to put your notes from the reading. Here's where you're going to talk about a life scenario that has 2 of each factor. And here's your reflection on page 3. So the questions include which protective factor has been the most valuable to you during a difficult situation? Provide an example of how you use this protective factor to your advantage. What 2 protective factors would you like to improve on? And describe how improving these protective factors might impact your personal health. List the first few steps to making this a reality. So just remember that when we're talking about these factors, I will also give you, there's a website that you can look at that will help you understand a little bit more clearly if those definitions weren't enough and you need just a little bit more of a definition. All right. As always, I'm here to help and support you. Let me know if you have any questions. Have a great day.